Welcome to another edition of Your Impact Attack. That's right, it's Your Impact Attack. You. You right there. No, not you. You. Yours. This is your episode. And we're bringing it to you. And who are we? We are the VBC. V. Checking in. I'm the vet, Jamie Williams. Hello. And with me, as always, my tag team partner, the B. Brandon. Here comes the tag. Boom. House of Fire.
Doing well, man. Fun weekend of TNA wrestling action. We'll, of course, talk about tonight. And, of course, we got on Thursday the live TNA Impact coming up.
Oh, man. Anything can happen when it's live. We're live, pal. And we are live here with you guys. And who do you guys are the C in this whole VBC thing that we've got going on here. The C. C is for Cookie, and that's good enough for me, but it's also good enough for chat. Chat is here. We've got some people rocking and rolling, chatting away. Who do we have with us so far, Brandon?
Let's see who we got joining us tonight. We got Chris Willen with a question.
Nice.
We got Lab Rat. We got Liz. Let's see who else we got. Let's get through the chat.
And
we got Javi Uchiha. So I got so-called that a four horsemen. Whoop, whoop.
Boom.
A symbol of excellence.
Not Fourth Rope Promotion, who also are using this and who also talk about later. But we're here to talk to you guys right now. Yes, as we said, a interesting weekend for TNA. Or is it WWENA? Is it even just Trick NA? Is there ever going to be, hey, yo, Todd Brantley, is there ever going to be a chance for TNA to come up, creatively, like story-wise? Are they going to ever get out from under this oppressive NXT thumb that they've got on them right now? I guess we'll answer that, or just ask more questions about it as we go on to tonight. But that's the general flavor of what I'm looking at. What about you?
I mean, optics-wise, that's definitely what it looks like, but could it be part of a more long-term story leading into Bound for Glory? We don't know. And Lab Rat with a little bit of news. Yeah, so apparently Arn Anderson is talking about actually getting lawyers involved of the Fantastic Four using the Four Horsemen symbol.
The Fantastic Four, like the Marvel movie that's coming out this weekend?
Yeah, like there was a video where all four of the cast members, like they did this.
Okay.
So I'm guessing is Arn. I'm sure Arn is probably joking about it though.
Yes, I'm sure he's joking about it. I don't think you can copyright holding up four fingers. But in any case, well, let's since there's no this the closest thing that we have to news here is a random Arn Anderson joke. I think we should talk. I think we should start with the question, because Chris Winland had a question, and it does sort of, have a larger overarching relevance, I guess, to what we're going to be talking about today. So, Chris Winland, thank you very much again for the question, Chris. After covering TNA/Impact for so long, what are some of your favorite moments of the program and why? And besides us and the C, do you still care? Do you foresee the WWE partnership actually benefiting TNA? Those are three very separate and interesting questions. I think we should answer let's just answer the first one first. What are some of your favorite moments of the program and why? What about you, Brandon? What stands out to you in the time that you've been covering Impact/TNA?
Okay, just that time. Okay, I'm thinking more of like Early Impact memories. Okay, so more like
Well, you could throw those in if I mean, because they're kind of important to us. If we're talking about, this was an anniversary. It's the 23rd birthday of TNA. I guess they kept calling it on Slammiversary the other night. So, going back to the beginning is not such a bad idea.
uh, first one that comes to mind immediately, Steiner Math.
Mm-hmm.
Another one, he's fat.
Okay, I see a
Uh,
Scott Steiner's theme appearing here.
that one where Chris was it an Impact where Chris Sabin went over Bully Ray for the title?
Mm, I don't remember.
Man, I know not a lot of specific ones stick out, but I remember like it was a lot of some bad, but mostly like let's say one. Let's go 1 out of 10. Not a lot of 9s and 10s. Decent amount of 8s. Mostly 5 through 7s. A few 4s and 3s, and of course you always got the few 1s and 2s and the rare 0.
Well, I think just the fact of like having to think and then make a distinction between overall entire history and then just what we've covered. I think that's sort of like an indictment of what we've been covering. I don't know a lot of. I'm sure there were a lot of memorable moments for some people during the past 3-4 years or whatever, but
I forgot to add Wrestle House. Hardy
yeah.
Compound, Final Deletion.
Hmm. Yeah. So those could be some of your favorites. So they're definitely not my favorites.
Yeah, because here's what was the Dixieland match?
eh. I think when it comes to favorites, I don't really remember like a lot of big memorable moments. I'm thinking of like, I mean, obviously this is, we saw Moose come into like a new level. He reached a new level like kind of in front of our eyes, you know? And I think that's like the most important thing. Like there's a reason that you have a lower third, the Moose Nominal one, or it's always something new Moose related, or that's why Moose is permanently up in the upper corner. It's not just like an ironic thing. Like to me, he's the star. He's the clear star. He's the guy that you build a company around. He's the Roman Reigns of this thing, and that's why we continue to praise him um, for all of his hard work. And we'll continue that probably today too, because we'll talk about his match at Slammiversary and his match on the Go Home show and everything there. So it's if you want to single out a Moose moment, the one thing that I keep coming back to is that Kevin Knight match, which took place on an Impact. Moose versus Kevin Knight. A match that no one really cared about and no one saw, but in the grand scheme of things, but it stood out to me because I was really watching a I want to say it was like everything came together and light bulbs went off, and like I saw Moose really getting it, really understanding it in a way that I hadn't quite seen before, even though I already appreciated what he was doing. And I've been looking for something like that since. That sort of perfect moment that could stand on its own in time. You just watch this out of context, and I could use this as like textbook study, or tape study. Like this is what I would show a young wrestler when I'm trying to explain things. Like this is how you do this is how you do that. I could use this match for that. So that one for me is very memorable, but probably forgettable to everybody else. Um, Not you perhaps, but because we were both raving about that match that when we covered it that week. Um, but after we were done doing that, I kept thinking about it. I kept comparing things to that. I kept thinking about like, well, this is the time of anytime I'd see a match where you're supposed to like showcase a young guy but still get yourself over, which has happened dozens of times since that match, on multiple companies. I always go back and I think of that match, and I was like, it's just as simple as it was that night that Moose did it. Um, so in the larger scheme of things, it's Moose. In the smaller things, that's one of my favorite things that he's done among a great many things. But a lot of what we've kind of seen is him trying to make lemonade and chicken salad, and you shouldn't have to do that. You should have the finest ingredients, at your disposal to help everybody in the company sort of, you know, uplift everyone and grow and prosper. And, that's how we get from, the small time sort of, what does Conrad always say? LOL TNA, to like getting the respect that the hardworking men and women actually deserve. So that's my answer for that part. Now, skipping ahead to the third part, do you foresee the WWE partnership actually benefiting TNA? I'll throw that one to you first.
Well, from a numbers and logistical standpoint, it so far has. I mean, they just had their biggest North American, audience ever, or attendance ever.
Mm-hmm.
Question is, though, here's the real question, or the real thing to look for is, where does this go from here? Does it continue to build, or does it start falling off a cliff?
Yeah, I don't have too much to add to that. I think from a benefiting in all the ways that matter, I mean, it can't help but benefit. It's just increasing visibility, and we saw the results of that with Slamversary and everything. So yes, of course it's benefiting. It's already benefited TNA. So we can complain and we can, discuss the creative and ways in which, things could be different or different choices could be made. But I don't think anything they're doing is hurting TNA really. It's just not being the best, but TNA is already benefiting. So, so I agree with that. But at some point, here's the whole thing. At some point, I think that the WWE is going to peel back. So what is the actual goal here? I mean, are we trying to get to the point where TNA is going to be spotlighted on mainstream WWE programming? Like, are we trying to lift TNA up to that level so that they're past NXT and can do those things like special appearances and cameos and it'll mean something? If somebody shows up on Raw or SmackDown or something? Because that's something they want? Do they want TNA to be like mired down here with their quote unquote developmental league? Like, even our guys are better than yours? Like, is that where you want TNA? Are they benefiting from that image? I don't know. I don't know. It depends how are you going to leave this? How are you going to separate? How are you going to move on from the partnership? Yeah.
And the only thing that kind of makes me wonder of like, is this part of a long-term thing is because it's when they first announced the partnership, when it was official, it was a 3-year deal. We're about 7 months in or 6 months in. So I can't speak to if they have a long-term plan in place of like some like idea of a story they had that would take place over a year or two. And, they're just kind of working on the nuances and the details along the way.
Mm. Yep. Well, Labrat says they need to learn from the AEW partnership mistakes. Uh, yeah, there's always. I mean, I assume he's saying TNA needs to learn. Um, WWE doesn't need to learn shit. They're holding all the cards, and they never hesitate to show that any chance they get. Um, so yeah, I don't know, man. It's a tough question. Most of us, all we could do is shrug our shoulders to say, I guess we'll see. Um, but yeah, just basically, as far as we're talking about benefits, just to make it very clear, yes, they're benefiting from the partnership. So the question is, are they going to benefit from the departure? Are they going to leave TNA better than they found it or worse than they found it? That's You want to read Liz's comment in the voice that it probably belongs in?
Okay, I got an idea, pal. So you see, we have our developmental people be every one of your champs, and we'll take your belt. But eyes, pal.
That's where we're at so far. That's basically what.
But me personally, I will give it to Bound for Glory before I start going, okay, what the fuck?
Yep. Now, third part of the question, do you, other than us, meaning, the C and the VBC, the chat, do you still care? Um, I'll answer that first. No, I don't. I I actually foresee, um, as far as my personal enjoyment, uh, I foresee nothing going anywhere that I will enjoy. I have no faith in their booking. I have no faith in the company. Um, it's just they're basically just another. It seems like now they're basically just another tentacle of WWE. So even WWE, they do some good things, but I'm looking at a lot of missed opportunities. And I don't understand all the moving parts behind all of that stuff, but there's some stuff that's just inexcusable, and there's no reason why any of it should exist. So, um, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt on some things, but as far as do I care about TNA? No. Am I entertained by anything TNA does? No. Do I think that it's ever going to change? No. So yes, I really am here just for all of you. Like, I enjoy doing the show with Brandon. I enjoy talking to you guys, answering questions like this, which Chris Winland gives us content for the show, and I appreciate that. Like, it gives us something to talk about on a day like today where nothing else really to talk about. So that's sort of the highlight, of this whole experience. But as far as TNA, the company, I think I've given them long enough to impress me or to think that they're going in some sort of direction. So that's me. But what about you?
For me personally, I think TNA there was a period where I stopped watching WWE about early 07, probably about like late 09, 2010 when Bret Hart came back. And TNA is kind of like, to me, I thought it was a good, entertaining alternative to it. And now I talk about how much I enjoyed it, and all the people I was involved with the wrestling would shit on it. It was like, oh, like that they do this wrong, they do that wrong. They got these people here and this and that. Meanwhile, I'm looking at the ratings. I'm looking at the reports of their revenue. It's like, well, that data is kind of going against your opinion. So, and I'm enjoying the show. So, and then later on, once the Hogan era, that was rough. I know. That to me. I always kind of championed TNA personally because I wanted them to be that little engine that could light that fire under WWE's ass and get them to put good programming out again. And then we could have 2 good shows like back in the day, like back in the late 90s. That was kind of my personal thing with TNA is like I wanted them to do that.
And they never did they?
If they would have stayed the course that they were going in 07 and 09 before Jarrett got sent home, I think they could have. It might have been taken a minute. It might have taken a while, but they were on the trajectory.
And you fast forward to now, and that fire that's supposed to be under the WWE's ass, WWE is like, oh, that's a cute little fire. Here, let me help you with that. Let me get a little bit of kindling in there. Let's put a little bit more. I got a log right here I could put on here. Let's get a bellows and just like let's just help that fire a little bit. That's a cute little fire. It's nowhere near our ass, but we'll help you out.
Yeah, it's more like in our engine room.
Right. So funny how things work out. Yeah, but so I mean, do you still like I mean I can even hear now where you're saying like well, I'm going to give you guys till Bound for Glory. And it's like it's like we're always like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. You're going this way, and I'm just gonna see this through, and that's been happening for 23 years now, and it's happening with all of wrestling. Like we keep all like, I'll just wait, and I bet they're gonna turn around, and it's just not quite happening.
I have no problem. The Impact attack after Bound for Glory, if Trick Williams and JC Jane or those titles don't come back to TNA, I got no problem coming on here saying I was wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's definitely an interesting situation, but as far as like my personal interest, it sounds like it's a no from me, dog. No, I'm not interested. So I must personally once again thank all of you guys. Anybody that's here with us live, anybody that's listening later, whenever they get a chance, you know, um, you're the reason that I'm here. It's certainly not because I can't wait to put TNA over. And speaking of that, that's a good enough segue to get into our go home episode of TNA Impact. We're going to set up Slamversary hopefully with this episode. Let's see how good of a job they did. Well, the first way you got to set up anything is with a catch-up packet because, nobody knows what's been going on. They're all tuning in for the first time every week.
How about hot sauce packet?
Whew. Could be pretty hot. Could be pretty hot. Well, we're starting off hot enough for hot sauce, because we've got Moose in a rare Moose appearance as the X Division champion, taking on Sami Callihan. And this match was nice and short like it should be. And after the match is over and Sami gets speared and loses, do you want to know something? Here's Lish. And she hands the microphone to Moose. And all Moose does is tell the truth about Sammy.
It's like, where have we had this conversation before about Sammy during these shows?
I mean, we have for sure. All we've been talking about is how Sammy Callahan is growing his own gravitational field. Um, and that's what Moose is basically saying. He's saying you just don't have it anymore. You're fat. Get your fat ass out of the ring. You fat ass, fat hunk of fat. Um, leave your boots. Leave your boots here in this ring and get your fat ass out of it. He says variations and all that stuff. And then Sammy starts to unlace one of his boots. And everybody's like, oh. But then he just rolls out of the ring. He literally rolls out of the ring. And he just leaves with one shoe untied, limping. So Sammy Callahan was beaten, fat shamed, and hobbled to the back. I loved it.
Great way to start a show.
Beautiful. It's got all of our favorite things. Moose and saying the things about Sammy that we say. You know? So yeah. Now, the next match we're supposed to get is the system, the other system, versus Order 4. But that never happened because somebody thought it would be a good idea to hit Dark State's music and the lighting treatment that they get. And then they jumped the system. So damn, we got robbed. And Order 4 is just like, okay, we'll just go on to the back there.
Yep, night off, boys. Let's head to the back.
Good job. Yeah, what do you think about okay, so Dark State's coming out. They're getting their full entrance and whatever. Well, they're getting the entrance they get when they're surprising people, which is separate from the entrance they get when they're booked in a match. So, you know, are you as big a fan of this as I am, where people cooperate with the terroristic invaders?
They could actually make a little bit of sense out of this if they had like I'm not sure what you'd call this person, but just like their own personal hacker that you see them as soon as you see that person in the crowd, they get their phone out, do a little something, then the entrance hits.
I do find it weird that they would care about an entrance. You know, like
from a logical standpoint, that makes a lot more sense too. Just hit the ring and just not take everybody out.
Right. I mean, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to create a panic? Or are you just doing what you always do, advertising wrestlers with their themes and costumes? You know?
Yeah, that's where the Shield comparisons come in right there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've already beaten this horse to death, so no reason to do that. But
except Jared Fogle.
Yes. Well, except that. So Danny Luna's with Gia, no music underneath. She basically says that Tessa is, she wants to rule the Knockouts division, and Tessa's in her way of doing that. So we're going to get Tessa versus Danny. I thought this was funny that Victoria just blatantly cheated in front of the referee. And the heel's going over anyway, so why bother getting caught? Why not just have her like be the cause? But anyway, yeah, she hits that code breaker, the Magnum, and then they continue to beat up Danny Luna, and Indy Hartwell runs out to save. And she says, "At Slamversary, you'll get to know me, bitch." So,
still Okada's gimmick, bitch.
Yeah. Saying bitch, but Even people over in AEW don't not say bitch. They don't even give a shit. They don't give a shit that that's his catchphrase. So I don't think anybody in TNA is gonna care. Yeah, so like Danny used to have a friend. I guess they're not as good of friends, but we'll see a little bit later. If anything comes of that. Did you like the match or any of the post match stuff?
And the promo was cringe as shit. And obviously the reason why, Andy was running out was because, her thing with Tessa, and also set up the pre-tape we see later. Not gonna spoil it now, of course, even though we all saw it.
Don't spoil it. So 3 weeks ago they had that thing where the Elegance brand crashed the autograph signing or whatever that the Inspiration were doing. And here, 3 weeks later, the Inspiration are responding to this in a promo. And then the Elegance brand comes out to the ring with their full, concierge, all this, the same crap. They come out and Ash gets on the mic and she says she's supposed to issue an apology and blah, blah, blah. And then she starts yelling about a bunch of stuff. I wasn't really listening. And then Fatal Influence came out and they sort of confronted them. And I really wasn't listening to that. And then Masha came out and she said some stuff too. And by this point, I was like, when is this going to end? And then Masha and JC did the dreaded double belt hold. So they were both double frozen in place by each other's belts. There was nothing they could do. We had to end the segment like this. How about this? Did you like any of this?
I can't say it any better than Liz just did.
Liz says this was painful. Yeah. Speaking of pain, the gimmick injury report is next. Unfortunately, not much different here. Trey still has a hernia. It's still day to day. That day was a day, so he wasn't cleared. Casey Navarro still cleared of his knee injury. And this was a weird gimmick injury report because there's only 2 injuries this time instead of the usual 3.
And they're actual shoot injuries too.
Yes. Yeah. And we heard of both of them already. There was no update, really. This is how they were. This was the same condition they were last time. So, very useful segment here.
Yeah, and they did the same thing in Slammiversary too, and they had Elias in that. Where was Elias in this one?
I don't know. I guess they didn't know his triceps was still torn here. They had no idea it hadn't healed yet. We get some more Santana stuff. The packages they've been doing. And then we get Hometown Man versus Armory Guy. I don't know which one it was.
I think it was Timu Wheeler Yuta.
Okay. I don't know which one that is. I don't know what his name is. So, Judas Icarus? Is that the one? I don't want to learn these guys' names, is the thing.
Well, then I will not answer that question.
Yeah, I feel like somehow I'm doing everyone a disservice by knowing this. So I'd rather just say the Armory Guy. He lost to a sliced bread, by the way. So, Hometown Man is on a roll here. Call him Butter because he's on a roll. Yeah, anything on this?
Nah, just some good yeah, it was what it was.
It sure was.
Because TNA.
It's TNA. Here's a promotion that's not TNA. Fourth Rope, apparently. So I guess I don't know when I heard this, but a real one, I don't want to call him the wrong name, real one here Uh, he cuts his promo and everything like that. He intimate or he implies that he says he's bringing Zillafatu with him to Slamversary. So that's interesting. Um, but apparently, Fourth Rope Promotions is started by West Side Gun and some other people. So this is some rapper that's a big wrestling fan. We've seen him multiple times at AEW. I'm not sure if he was at WWE events either, but I feel like he could have been or would have been. But he wants to start his own promotion. So that's what Fourth Rope is. Congratulations. But
You
yeah,
know,
it was another real one promo. So I enjoyed it. Did you enjoy it?
I thought it was a good promo. Of course, he's always entertaining. You see on the camera.
That's right. Now, on the opposite of that, you have Burt Macklin. He does a promo. And he is holding the line or something. I don't know. He's like the only guy whose belt wasn't being defended at Slamversary because he was in a 6-person tag on the pre-show, which we'll talk about briefly, very briefly when we get to that. Matt Cardona versus Jake Painter. And before the match even starts, he's like, I don't even know. It would have been funnier if they rang the bell first, but he asked for a microphone. And he said something about like, I know Dark State is here, so why don't you just come on down here and get me? And sure enough, they instantly come down there and get him. And then, and then Myers runs in. And he's also beaten up. They get him too. And then the System plays their music, and then they run in. Now Moose doesn't run in because he doesn't care. He's not getting in there with Dark State. Oh hell no, not Moose. He's got an important match coming up. Fuck that. Fuck the System. They're on their own, and they are, and yeah, that was enough. They ran off Dark State with that amount of people. They didn't really need Moose, I guess.
Nah, good stuff. I like that. It's not often you see like the job guy and the star like actually still standing back to back fighting guys trying to take them both out.
Yeah, that's true. It's a little detail there. The Hardy Boys come out. Apparently, they're sad sacks, and they're just talking about how much of losers they are and how they need to retire because they're old and fat. Well, actually, Matt, yeah, fat. Matt is a little more fat. He's not obese or anything. He's still not afraid to take his shirt off like Fat Eddie.
He's a little fluffy.
Just a little bit. Well, more so than Jeff. Jeff has lost every bit of size that he ever used to have. So he's extra thin now. So, they're just basically like, come on, look at us. We ain't got it no more. It's time for us to hang it up. And then Leon Slater comes out and he talks him down off the ledge. Just says, no, you guys, you're the best. You inspired me, even though you've been wrestling since before I was born. And you inspired me in the womb, when my mother was standing next to televisions playing Spike TV or whatever. But he didn't really say any of that. But he did put the Hardys over. And then First Class came out. And they started saying a bunch of stuff. I'm pretty sure that AJ said something funny, but I can't remember what it was now. And KC was still trying to get Pardon Me over. I don't know if it's working. Is it working? Is Pardon Me getting over?
It could, but right now it's kind of in the downward.
I see. Well, anyway, they came out, and then the Zigglers came out. Because maybe First Class says you guys ain't even the best brother tag team in TNA. Was that what it was?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So then the Zigglers came out, and then the Rascals came out. So basically, this was a hit everybody's music segment, and they have a tussle, big tussle in the ring, and then the Hardys get a ladder and hit people with a ladder because it's going to be a ladder match at Slammiversary. So you can hear the energy draining out of my voice, can't you? That's a shoot.
Give me the Cleveland Buzzards, pal.
Yeah, that's an interesting name for a sports team, right? We pick the bones of our opponents. I don't know. So, are you a fan? I mean, it's the Hardys. They're doing that thing where they, teasing the retirement. Um, are you a fan of that when like somebody does that and then a babyface comes out and peps them up, or are you a fan of like these segments, the hit everybody's music segment where they all have to come out in order and they have to say something and then they have to be a big brawl at the end? Are you tired of that, or can we still do that 8,000 more times?
If they would have left it at just, Slater hyping up the Hardys, that'd have been one thing. And they go to the back together, that'd have been cut it there. Cool. Yeah, it went a little long and tried to cram way too much into one segment. Like these things could have been separate weeks.
I see. Yeah. See what you're saying. Oh, so the Cleveland Buzzard is the mascot of a radio station. Well, excuse me, that I didn't know what the rock station in Cleveland is. Let's see. The main event here is Frankie Kazarian and Trick Williams versus good old Joe and Mike. So this is your preview Slamversary main event. It's a match. Santana tags himself in at the end when Joe Hendry's getting ready to do a standing ovation. Santana tags himself in, spins Kaz's block, and there we go. And that's the end. And we're off the air. Except, wait, first we have to remember that time that somebody fished a chest of a good old chest full of TNA out of some river somewhere.
Yeah, it wasn't Frankie Kazarian, I think?
Yeah, wasn't it? Did he go in that murky water and retrieve that lost treasure chest full of TNA?
Oh, it's got all that TNA in there, pal.
Yeah, all of it. All the TNAs and NDAs. So he opens it, and that's when the TNA came back out back then. But now it looks like the same chest, but when you open it now, there is phenomenal gear inside.
I think I might see AJ Styles this weekend or at Slammiversary.
Ah, is that what that means? Is that what the P1 means? Interesting. Wow.
Yeah, I think and the image of the dust getting blown off it too.
Just trying to say he's old. Yeah. Was this the actual like announcement that AJ Styles is going to be a Slammiversary? Did that happen after this aired?
Well, they aired this teaser, and then Friday, I think it was Friday morning, like TNA announced that officially announced AJ Styles is going to be a Slammiversary.
Okay, that's all right then. I was going to say, because if they somehow messed up and leaked that, then that was lame. But, well, I don't know. What do you think of this episode? Did it sufficiently prepare us for Slammiversary?
I want to say it's one of the better go home shows to a major pay-per-view event I've seen in a while. I mean, obviously it had its flaws, but I felt more sold going into the pay-per-view than I did, coming into it. Or going out of the show than I did going into it.
Well then, let's go into it. Let's see how their
momentum. Before we go in, though, make sure you sign this NDA.
Oh, all right. Let me just. I'll do it on the digital signings. Just use your finger.
I see it
I
pop up on my
e-signed.
computer screen here. Okay, cool.
Okay. Now, it's time for the countdown. We got to count this thing down. We can't just go right into Slamversary all willy nilly. You got to ease into it a little bit. You watch the countdown.
Some of it I was having issues with the feed I was trying to watch.
Oh, really? Interesting. Well, the first thing we're gonna get is the arrivals to the building of several key players. And then we're gonna get one of those panels that they like to do now, like to try to feel like they're, hey, we're doing this too. It's Gia Miller, it's Tommy Dreamer, it's Dave LaGreca, and it's some guy from Skid Row.
Fucking Skiddy Row.
Yeah, and let me tell you, his wrestling insight and commentary sounded like he's a guy from Skid Row, for sure. The only nice thing that these guys provided any sort of entertainment was when Tommy Dreamer wanted to bring out Johnny Rods, to do like an acknowledgement of, everything he's done. So it was like a nice public thank you to Johnny Rods and everything like that. So that's nice. And he said that Johnny had no idea they were going to do this, which would explain why he didn't say anything or why everything was just so fucking awkward. So that, but as Labras said, this pre-show is packed. We're not going to waste too much time. We've got to get to the Knockouts Tag Team Championship match. It is the Elegance brand versus the Inspiration. It doesn't go too long. Inspiration, it does not go too long. It ends when, well, you see, first of all, you must understand that the Elegance brand came out dressed as Statues of Liberty. And that includes carrying these little torch dealies. So during the match, when the referee was otherwise occupied, M got up on the apron and cracked Cassie with the torch dealie. And then Ash hit rarefied air, and still your Knockouts Tag Team Champions, the Elegance brand.
Whatever happened to Ash's Knockouts World title shot that she's got when she won that Battle Royal?
That's what she was yelling about on Impact. I don't know what happened to it, but that's the last time we heard about it.
Oh, now they had that interaction with Fatal Influence. Is that going to lead to those two? I'm guessing. Oh shit! Sorry, I skipped ahead.
Oh no! Whatever do you mean? You mean if JC Jane were to somehow capture the TNA Knockouts Championship? That's what you mean, like in that unlikely scenario, right?
Yes, that very extremely unlikely scenario. My bad. I apologize.
Yeah. Well, what are you apologizing for? It's just so unlikely.
It's all speculation. We don't know.
Yeah, totally. Anyway, that happened. Then we have Eric Young with the Northern Armory, and he comes down doing a promo talking about how New York sucks. He actually said that your sports teams suck, your hockey team sucks, as if those are separate things. So is he saying hockey's not a sport? Because I'll go in with it.
That's awkward for a Canadian to say.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it was on the fly anyway. So anyway, it's Eric versus Hometown Man. I don't know what do you want me to say?
Harmless impromptu match to make the crowd feel good.
Yeah, it wasn't impromptu though. They definitely wanted to do it.
Well, I mean, I should say kayfabe impromptu.
I still think that, they came out with a full entrance in his trunks, so he definitely thought he was having a match. And Hometown Man was ready to go with all his gear and his mask, so I I don't know how impromptu it was, but damn it, it happened. And damn it, they did the Wembley 92 finish again, which I don't know what it is. But if you're a Canadian or just obsessed with Bret Hart, you love the Wembley 92 finish. So if you don't know what the Wembley 92 finish is, Eric Young went for a sunset flip and
Hometown man sat on him.
sat on him, hooked his legs over. Yep. So that happened. And that's it. Hometown man continues his winning streak. I mean, he should definitely be getting a title shot. He deserves a title shot more than Ash at this point. And so we come to our 6-man main event of the pre-show. It is Burt Macklin, Mance Warner, and Jake something. That's your team. Versus the Fourth Rope team, which is Real One, Zilla Fatu, and Josh Bishop. I'm going to tell you something funny about this. I'm watching a feed. Where this feed came from, I can't say. I mean, I could say, but I won't say. And on my feed, it started to buffer. You know, you get the little loading circle. The funny thing about that is, I'm looking at the feed of the feed. Like when I'm looking at the timer on the bottom, it's not stopping. It's going. So.
Not on your end.
It's not on my end. It's not on whoever uploaded it and whoever stole it and uploaded its end. It must have been on the feed. So I wanted to ask if anybody else saw any buffering if they were watching this live, because I can't necessarily 100% say what the source was supposed to be, but I saw buffering and it was not mine. So I just wondered if that was a unique experience.
Nope. That was not unique at all. I was having such horrible buffering issues to the point where I was like, you know what? Y'all, in my opinion, y'all are in the buy. You're getting it tonight.
Okay, so did you go to YouTube or?
You know, somewhere.
Somewhere. Okay. Lab Rat did not notice the buffering, but yeah, I wasn't gonna go ahead and. The only way I was gonna purchase this event is if I was going to do the watch along. But I just wasn't. I was in no condition to be a part of the watch along. So I saved the $40. But somebody was having some trouble somewhere. Now, that's just a little bit of, bonus side conversation. The real story here is you got these guys from this other promotion. Josh Bishop. I swear I've seen Josh Bishop before. Where have I seen him before?
I know I've heard his. I'm not sure what he's done, but I know I've heard his name mentioned as like an upper Indian name is kind of like somebody that's kind of on like the lower major level radar. Now I'm getting a basketball level here with like, okay, yeah, the Eastern Division, Northwestern.
So yeah, NWA. Was he on AEW before? I
want to say
Ring of Honor?
Maybe MLW. I don't know.
Maybe MLW. I seen Josh Bishop, and as far as I was concerned when I saw him the first time, I seen enough. But anyway, here he is again. Zilla, obviously a person of interest. See what I did there? See what I did there, guys?
Shout out Cousin Solo. Or maybe second Cousin Solo?
Or something. Yeah. And of course, Real One comes down with an incredibly long microphone performance to start this thing off before any action ever happens.
He's younger. He's not even 25. He's got 5 kids, and he's the most dangerous Samoan in the entire bloodline.
Yes, sure he is. But, but, um, yeah. So I enjoyed what Enzo did, but it's also important to note that they kind of knew like you're taking most of this is your sort of like spotlight because the match wasn't long. If you were to go out there and talk for this long and have everybody just stand there with their thumb up their ass listening to you instead of charging up the ramp, that means that you can't just go out there and then put on like a 15-minute match too. So it was smart enough to know that most of this was this promo and the match was sort of the afterthought and exclamation point, so to speak. Um, in which the finish was actually pretty well timed, where Mance Warner threw a clothesline, Enzo ducks, Mance hits Jake something, and then he picks up Jake something to hit him with the eat defeat and beat him. Now I don't know if I would have beat Jake something out of these guys, but clearly they'd rather push Mance Warner, and they weren't going to beat Burt, the champion. So
It so it worked. Mance could have went under, and you could have peeled him off and Jake, and that loss would have actually helped him.
I don't disagree with that. I was just wondering what they thought they were. I mean, to me, they definitely felt like, but this is kind of the TNA problem. Like, I think they've got their priorities on the wrong guys a lot of times. You know?
Yeah, you could have easily had Jake be the one who fucks up, hits Mance Warner, he eats the pin, and they go off and feud.
Right. Because Jake something is so big, a clothesline from him, it's believable that that's gonna do like 90% of the damage, and then 10% is Enzo. So, well, that's not what they did. So there you go. 1, 2, 3, and fourth rope goes over. So even the other company that's not WWE that's coming in to challenge TNA is going over.
I mean, to be fair, this was in my opinion, this was the right decision, because if you're going to establish these guys as something, they got to go over.
I agree, but if that's the case,
why you have it? Why are you doing it on the same night where TNA is going under in their big matches?
Right. What did TNA get out of this? I'll tell you. Where they got out of this, because now we're up to the main card. It is okay. The opening match, they sing the national anthem. Some chick no one's ever heard of, as usual. Now we get Ali versus Cedric. Good friends, better enemies. And well, first let me say that they definitely did exactly the kind of match that you would expect these guys to do. If you want to see the most indiest match that you could see with the most high level of polish, like these guys, they came out, they had their gear looked good. Everything about their presentation looked good. No sleeveless, t-shirts or trash bag indie pants or anything here. Like these guys definitely got the look and the feel of professionals, and they went and had the high school gym match, including the part where Ali definitely put the suicide in suicide dive when he dove out the ring and fucking landed on his face, neck, and head.
Earlier, at this age, we saw eat defeat. Ali just ate shit.
He ate shit bad, and it was nobody's fault. Like, it was his own fault.
At least he admitted it on Twitter. He actually admitted, yeah, that was my bad.
Okay, well, he shouldn't have said anything on Twitter. What he should have said was nothing. But the fact is, yeah, you just, I watched it a couple of times. Like, I rewound it, watched it. I'm just like, did he really? And he did. Cedric was walking away, but he turned around and got in his base in enough time, and Ali just simply overshot him. So, okay, bro. Okay. Um Also, if that wasn't enough, they didn't, call an audible on the Falcon arrow from the top rope to the outside on all the people standing there. Which, okay, first match, you want to do that. You want to get your indie bowling ball spot in. Okay. But,
Strike.
but again, it's not just going to be a strike, because if you add it all up, how many times you're going to get probably a turkey or two out of this, how many times they do this spot. So it's like, if everybody else is doing it, we don't need to do it. Plus, I just ate shit. So maybe we could just skip that. But that's what happens when you plan out your entire match from A to Z and you don't adjust on the fly. But anyway. So that happens. Tasha Steelz gets ejected. She's cheating. Referee kicks her out. She just comes back anyway with a chair. But Cedric catches the chair before she could use it, and he gives her the lumbar check. Oh my God.
Sick visual. Like, sick visual.
Well, I'll give him this. I like the way this ended up, because he gives her the lumbar check and she bounces up and goes flying. And then what happens, Brandon?
He is in perfect position to eat the 450 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm. So good timing. Good finish. Didn't like the match ahead of it, but
finish was good. Like, that was
finish
a good
was
finish.
good. Finish was good. Yeah. So
and props to Tasha for taking that sick bump.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, looked good. It was I got no complaints on that part of it. And when, I guess what's most important is when the last thing that you leave the people seeing will make you hopefully forget about anything that came before it, good or bad. So
what's that saying? A good finish can save a bad match, and a horrible finish can kill a great match.
Mm-hmm. That's right. So there's your first match of Slammiversary in the books. Joe Hendry's with Gia, no music underneath. He's, does a Joe Hendry probably, but he basically is saying, like, the world believes in Joe Hendry. So we'll see if he'll get it done tonight. Slater and Moose are getting ready for their match. It's not time for that yet. It is time for the System and Matt Cardona to take on Dark State, who get a proper entrance this time. And then they proceed to do more car crash bumps, or bowling ball bumps, or whatever you want to call these bumps, where everybody just stands around and groups up and people fall on them. Which there's no, I'm just saying, like, in addition to everything else that can go wrong in wrestling, there's no way to ever practice these. Like, these aren't something you drill. You don't drill standing around in a huddle while a human being falls on top of you at an unpredictable angle.
Yeah, you basically just do it and hope for the best.
That's it. Yeah, it's a lot like golf in that regard, where you could be the best, considered one of the best players in the world, and still come in dead last.
I have a personal story I can tell you about a show I went to in Chicago. I was in a 6-man tag, and one of the guys on my team wanted to get powerbombed into the wall because it was a very small area. It was like a remember, the promotion Beyond Wrestling? It's like all the boys that are just around in the area, and in the audience. It's a very small area.
Well, I don't know that. I mean, I know of Beyond Wrestling, but I wasn't aware of their setup. But
Well, they were doing some pilots for a potential like sleeper cells in the Midwest, and we shot some in my actually at my training center in St. Louis, and then later on in Chicago. And during the Chicago ones, I was in a 6-man tag, and one guy wanted to get powerbound into the wall. They did not rehearse it at all. Like, it was just like boom, powerbomb into the wall.
that's probably safer.
To be fair,
because
yes.
because you tend to overthink things when you plan and practice sometimes.
Right. And if you're taking a bump into like, even though if you're taking a bump vertically, it's still the same as a regular back bump. And if that's your mindset, that's probably your safest bet.
Yes. However, probably don't powerbomb people into walls for several reasons. Labrat is asking if the ring looks smaller. It's an optical illusion, I think. Brandon, do you want to explain why that is?
It did look a bit smaller, and I was of the opinion it was a bit smaller but looking at the way everybody was working in the ring and how they're able to, like, it didn't affect the work at all. That's kind of made me like the 10% like, okay, it's probably an optical illusion.
The reason it looks like that is because normally when you shoot the ring for TV, you are tighter on the ring. So it goes to the edges of the screen. But they want to show, they're so proud of the audience that they drew, they want to make sure that they have it back enough that you could see that there's actually people in the building.
And we're not used to that for Impact. Like, we have that whole thing of we're used to that close-up.
Mm-hmm. And every company does that. And that's why when you go, everybody that's probably ever gone to a live wrestling show, so Labrat, you probably know, but like when you go in the building and you're like, oh, the ring looks smaller than it does on TV. Well, because it is. I mean, it looks bigger on TV because they want it to look bigger. And in WWE, it's a 20-foot ring. I think the TNA uses an 18-foot ring. But it's even smaller looking when you shoot it differently. Or maybe it's a smaller ring. But I don't know why they would have a smaller ring. There's nothing that was preventing them from getting their usual ring. So that's why I'm just saying it looks that way because they pulled the shot back a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, the one thing that made me, another thing I noticed, like during the some of the tag matches with like multiple people in there, like it didn't really feel like, because I've seen 16 by 16s like with 8 people crammed in there. It did not look like that.
Yeah, that looks incredibly small. But don't worry about anybody standing on the aprons with this because they were just, doing whatever they wanted. It was crazy. Bodies everywhere. Until Cardona hits the radio silence, and then Fat Eddie hits the Boston Knee Party on Saquon Sugar's probably the best worker in the match. 1, 2, 3. So that's your one. TNA got over on these guys. There's your one.
Yeah, and coming out. Oh, well, actually, I shouldn't. We'll wait till we get to that the X Division title match before I say this.
We'll wait to it. Gimmick injury report, like you already pointed out, same as the other one, except it has Elijah in it now with his torn triceps. He's still out, by the way, so don't expect any Elijahs. Wonder what he would have done on this show if he were available. Gia interviews some guy named Tim Malcolm. Apparently he's from 90 Day Fiance, which is apparently some show that apparently people watch apparently on Netflix apparently.
I don't know. I don't watch.
I'm not watching 1 second of that bullshit. You kidding me? Especially if you tell me it's popular. That's how I know not to watch it. Okay. Package then Tessa versus Indy. Former best friends. This is just like Cedric and Ali from earlier, except titties. So now,
Well, maybe one set.
Such as they are. Let's put it that way. Um, yeah. So I was saying, like, I'm gonna watch Indy Hartwell's matches. I'm gonna evaluate her, and this was probably well, for certainly, wouldn't you say this is the biggest match of her career?
Oh, without question.
Yeah.
I mean, probably even bigger than the NXT title because I mean, this is kind of the spot's biggest on her right now,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and also
Also, the
being it.
opponent.
Yeah, the about I was about to get to that. Yeah, she's in there with probably the best worker she's been in the ring with, in Tessa.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, there are some things I could nitpick about the match, but what I'm not gonna do is I'm not gonna go on here like some famous wrestling podcasts and just outright lie about what's happening on the screen. Um, these women worked hard and they tried their best. And even if I didn't like certain things of their match, or I would have changed, or if I was agenting the match, I would have had them do different things. I'm not going to say this wasn't, this is surely got to be Indy's best match that she's ever done. Um,
Best match I've
and
seen her in.
it's, yeah, and it's extra challenging, for Tessa Blanchard, who's used to working with human beings, to try to wrangle a giraffe, in front of a record crowd of people. So, you know, props to both of them. Um, I could have done without all the kickouts, which again, that
Team
was
throughout
gonna
the night.
that was gonna be a thing throughout the night. I think if you're gonna do the kickouts thing, let that be one match story. Like, let that be whoever match you think needs that. Let them be the one that gets that. Don't kick out of finishes in every single match. Just make it one match so that it can mean something and people remember that. Like, do you remember that, Indy Hartwell kicked out of Magnum or whatever, and then you can't say that that happened anywhere else on the show. You'll just be like, yeah, I remember that, right?
Yeah, and actually, I have a positive, like opposite thing to say about that during the Masha JC Jane match, which we'll get to later.
All right. Well, for now, I will also say that Tessa still has those ridiculous faces when somebody does kick out of something. So I'm not necessarily a fan of that. But the finish does come when, after Tessa's already kicked out of one Hertz donut, it takes Indy doing a Hertz donut onto the rope and her bouncing her throat off the rope, coming back, getting hooked up, another Hertz donut, 1, 2, 3. And I feel like the biggest asshole in the world saying that out loud. Like, like dignifying that name of a move by just calling a sequence like it happens.
The first time I ever heard that, you ever watch the show Doug back in the day, the cartoon from Nick and Lillian?
Mm-hmm. Doug Funny.
Yep. Remember the episode where Doug's bully was finally getting bullied, and that bully happened to be like the nephew of the assistant principal?
Well, at this point, no, I don't remember it, but I probably did remember it when I was younger.
Well, one of the pranks that one of the things he did to Doug's bully was the hey, you want a Hertz donut? Sure, what's a Hertz donut? And he reaches into the paper bag and then yanks his nose and says, Hertz, don't it?
Right. Yeah, that's the joke. It used to be, it could be like 2 punches. Like, I remember kids doing that on the playground to me. I didn't even say, yes, I wanted one. I was just like, what? Yeah. Uh, that was, the bully's name was Roger, right?
Roger Klotz, yep.
Okay. Um,
He's
so, yeah, I remember that much. So anyway, yeah. So Indy scores a big win, and then Gia is right there, like she always is after every match, to get a word with the winner. Say, where do you go from here now, Indy? And she's like, well, since I just beat a former world champion, and I think she was about to say, I deserve a shot at the world title, so Trick Williams, I'm coming for you. And then she got jumped by Tessa, jumped viciously by Tessa, and because Tessa's not going to stand for any slurs or anything like that, not on her watch. So she cut Indy off, beat the shit out of her, and Gia was like, I don't think she was going to say it. And then Gia got popped, and then she started slamming Gia's head into the stairs, and it was horrible. Gia's never even seen the inside of a wrestling ring before, at all, ever, never. Not in any incarnation or under any other names. So this was horrific and shocking. How could you abuse an announcer like that? Well, that's Tessa. She's crazy. So security finally pulls her off, and they help. Everybody helps Gia up to her feet because Indy already stopped selling her attack and just came over to help Gia and everything. And Gia's crying, and it's like, how could this happen? She's doing like the Nancy Kerrigan.
Why? Why?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lara says, to be fair, on the free show, Gia threw some shade at Tessa.
To be fair.
To be fair. Should...
That's what Texas I stand for.
So, well, fair or not fair, that's what happened. So, afterwards, the announcers do a very somber on cam, and they're saying, I can't believe that, this could be one of us. No, they didn't say that, but they basically tried to be serious about it, and then they pitch back to Santino, and Santino is yelling at Tessa Blanchard like he's furious. She make him so mad, and then he ejects her from the building, and security just picks her up. Like in the cartoons when like Donkey Kong would just steal Pauline or something. Like, here we go.
Yep, just whoop.
Yep, and she's like, "Hey, I'm a former world champion against the men," and But if that's all it takes, Brandon, like now that we've seen this precedent, now anytime that you get security out there and it's these females or whatever, or even small X Division guys, like certainly Tessa's the same size as both of the Northern Armory guys. So anytime those guys do something and try to attack somebody, the security just needs to pick them up, throw them over the shoulder, and carry them off. We've seen it happen. There's no excuse for this not to happen anymore.
You know what? I wouldn't be mad if they continued this, because it actually makes sense.
We've really literally beefed up security, and we are now going to just have them carry people off. It's like in Freer and Beyond Journey's End. You have the emergency golem in the jar, and you break it, and they carry you to safety, and they can't be stopped. That's a reference that a very small percentage of people will get, but those who are gonna get it are very cultured, wonderful people. So now that we've gotten through all that, any final thoughts on the match, the angle, the ejection, everything from Bell to this gorilla carry?
No, I thought it was good. I was kind of like, wow, they're actually making sense out of like the whole thing with security being able to handle women talent for once.
Mm-hmm. Would you like Gia getting her head rammed in the stairs?
She could have sold a little bit better.
She was crying.
I mean, she was crying. I mean, like, she could have bumped it a little bit better. Sorry, I should say.
Okay. She don't want to. No.
Yeah, give me a Harley Cameron blade job, pal.
Yes. Just get the Black Bart. We're gonna change the name of the Black Bart to the Moxley now. The Fork. I still haven't watched that. And I don't think I'm gonna. Okay. So the Inspiration confronts Elegance Brand They're like, we're sick and tired of your bullshit cheating asses. And there's all of you, and there's only two of us, but don't worry. We're going to even the playing field. So next week at Impact, we're going to blah, 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 blah. So they said they're going to bring somebody, but they didn't give us any hints as to who it might be. They just said they have, what does it say? They're going to even the playing field, and they have friends in high places. I think was also a term that was said at that.
You know, Izzy Dame. How much you bet Izzy Dame? Because one was married to Sean Spears, who's in the Culling with Izzy Dame.
Wow. That's some good connections right there. Do you think they're going to make that connection?
I'm sure somebody did.
Is Izzy Dame a babyface?
No, that's the problem.
Will
that
Izzy Dame be a babyface if she brings Dark Paxum, though? Because they kind of like Paxum.
If she brings Dark Paxum, I say babyface.
Okay. Okay. Okay, another package then Reptilian Britt Baker versus Masha Slamovich, winner take all for the Knockouts Championship versus the TNA or the NXT Women's Championship, excuse me. Well, I'll let you go first.
Well, I will give them the credit in this that they did not do the finish kick out. And what we've seen with Masha being established that she's kind of made the snowplow the secondary finish that we've seen her pin people with. In fact, you saw her pin JC Jane with it earlier this week. So when she hits it during this match, we think it's going to win. No, JC Jane kicks out, but we know Masha has something in case somebody kicks out of that. But she never hits it during this match.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to give at least that proper credit for protecting finishers.
Yes, and tonight needed it. Of all nights, tonight definitely needed some finishers protected.
Right, and especially when JC hit her finish and she made sure to pull Masha away from the ropes and cover like everything so she's not getting out.
Yes. Well, the match wasn't bad. It's, you know, Masha's always good. JC is, well, to put it in gimmick injury report terms, day to day. So,
this is one of her better matches. Probably her best match.
Probably. And you see a pattern when you're in there with great wrestlers, how you can have your best match. Funny. It's funny how that is what makes them the best in the first place. Not because of the moves they do, but how they make people forget when you're the shits. It's great. So, another great compliment to Masha Slamovich, but that's not a surprise to us. What is kind of a surprise to us, maybe, is the decision. It's disappointingly unsurprising, but it's also to the thing where, for me, I was just like, "There's no way you're gonna really do this." But then they did it, and you're like, "Oh my God, you really did this." That made me think when this happened, because I sort of avoided the spoilers, except for this, because Ray had to text me this with like 20 crying laughing emojis that she's the new champion. But I know those were definitely crying because, you know, what else can you do but laugh? But or what's the saying? Like, had to laugh to keep from crying. So when I saw this, but I didn't know the outcomes of the other matches, I just assumed that, well, then I guess Mike Santana is definitely going over because there's no way they would do this to the people. Right? And we'll see. But at this point, I'm just thinking, regardless, like, that's the only way I would even give you an out on this. Right? Like, if you want to do this booking, I'm like, I hate this. I hate everything about it for several reasons. Um, but I could see if you were booking the card to where the TNA fans go home happy, the New York fans go home happy. You know, the people that were very vociferously uh, ready for Mike Santana to win the TNA championship for TNA. I could kind of then see why you would do this. But even then, I wouldn't have done this. I would have just gone with a let's make everybody happy. Let's make all the TNA fans happy at that point. Because you can't just do this to everybody. TNA has to win something. It's got to be interesting. Like you've already done this with Trick Williams, man. You did this. That's your thing. So now it has to be like, oh my God, but down here, Masha Slamovich is now the NXT champion. And what are we going to do about it? Like, you have to flip that so that both companies are in the same position and it's interesting. Like, that's what makes it interesting. Like, if you just say, well, WWE's going over, then every fan, whether it's from a kayfabe or a shoot sense, is going to say, well, that figures. It figures that WWE would win because they're better. Or it figures that WWE would book themselves to win because everybody has to do what they say. So, they chose the most absolutely boring thing that they could have done in terms of this booking because it gives TNA nothing interesting to do on their end. Like, not one interesting thing about TNA right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at the long-term story they're thinking of. If they're thinking of, like, tonight is when, like, NXT takes their belts and then TNA gets their comeuppance at Bound for Glory, it left a lot on the table getting there and making that make sense. If that makes sense.
If it makes sense.
Like, because that could have been a 2-year story if they would have built it right.
Yes. It could have been the length of the partnership, for all we know. You don't have to, hot shot everything. But that's the thing. Even if TNA wins the belts back if the TNA wins the belts back at Bound for Glory, then it's just like, well, that's too predictable. And also, it sort of ends that whole thing too. Whereas, like, if one TNA person gets a belt back, but an NXT person gets a belt back, that's like a little more fair and balanced on that card, right? So, like, I don't know.
And plus, if you want, have Santana chase Trick, flip it back to Trick on the next live Impact. Because now Mike Santana, he had it in his hands, and then it was ripped from him.
Right
now, he's the guy in the driver's seat chasing after a Trick.
Yeah, I don't know, man. To me, you're gonna have to prove to me that this is not just some old WWE bullshit, because that's what it looks like right now. And you don't even really care. Like, what do you haven't cared about JC Jane her whole career. Don't act like you care about her now that TNA's involved.
And the fact you had the president of the company handing the belts to them on camera.
Right. Which is also awkward because that fucking guy shouldn't be on TV looking like he's like some sort of a registered offender or something that has to, like, hide his face when he goes out in public.
The only way you can justify his character, at least on camera, is that he's a WWE insider stooge.
Yeah. This sucked. Well, anyway, so, in the match, there was lots of cheating. To be fair to Masha, they definitely cheated a lot. And then the Zayas had to come out and they had to peel off the rest of Fatal Influence so that it could get back down to 2 people. But still, relatively clean win, all things considered, for JC. So she hits her rolling encore, and 1, 2, 3.
You're gonna have JC Jane go over. I like the Zaya's taking the rest of Fatal Influence out. Then you have Blake Monroe run in, help JC Jane. So that sets up the Masha Jordan friendship, where Jordan's kind of forced to choose between her brand and her friendship, and she ends up going with Masha, or however you want to go with that. That's where I'd go with it, at least.
Yeah. I feel like if you were to if I was WWE, I would want more excuses to get Masha on my programming. I don't need to see fucking JC Jane anymore. JC Jane is not it. She's never been it. She's never going to be it. She's just waiting to be released one day. And Masha is somebody, so I would rather.
That's how you get more Masha on the camera. You have the storyline with her and Jordan of Jordan being conflicted.
Yeah, but it would work better if she was the NXT champion.
I mean, that's the end game of that.
Yeah. Well, we're not even gonna get to the start game of it. It's just gonna be WWE over all everywhere. So where would Masha fit when Julia could barely get proper TV time? It doesn't matter. You can make it. That's another problem that they got to solve. But it's them that's not solving it, not me. I would do it. I could do it. And if we're talking about a universe where I'm telling you what I want, then I guess we're talking about a universe where I tell you what to do once I get what I want.
Just look at her.
Yeah, just look at her. But we're talking about Masha being on NXT right now. So if she's the NXT champion, that gives her a reason to be on NXT. I've seen enough of JC. It's been years. You know, it's time to get a fresh look. And it's not like JC's not going to be there, because you're going to use her to bitch about how she lost and how she had to go into TNA's backyard and it was unfair to her and blah, 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 like what a heel would do. I mean, this shit is so simple, but it seems like nobody understands it at all anymore. So what can I do? What can I do but just do this podcast and try to explain how it could be? Eric yelling at the Armory backstage, he's not yelling at him worse than I would be yelling at people when I found out about this booking decision we just had. But it's pretty harsh. This is where they announced the record attendance of 7,623 people. That's a TNA record in the United States.
I mean, congrats. I mean, they actually did a good job building for it, and the partnership certainly helped in that aspect. But as far as creative and booking goes, still pretty questionable. And long term.
And I'm sure that building can hold quite a few more than that.
Yeah, I think it's set up for 16,000, I want to say.
So we got ways to go. We got room to grow. All right. Then we get a package. Then we get Leon Slater versus Moose.
Match of the night. Not even close.
Not even close. Not even within a stone's throw.
Like also, I even noticed a callback to the Kevin Knight match. They did the same Hurricane Rana to the outside. He goes for the power bomb, Hurricane Rana again. Or onto the entrance ramp.
Yep. Moose came out with his old theme. So if you remember that, a little bit of nostalgia for you. I don't know if Leon Slater had been born yet when Moose's theme was his original theme was being used, but
I think he might have still been wrestling his mom during that time.
Maybe
doing lockups with her.
Probably. Yeah.
And again, that's a reference to footage that aired on Impact. So before anyone starts getting weird, that's actual.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So here's the thing. Um, Moose had an assignment for this. Now, again, this isn't the assignment I would have given him, but it's the assignment he got. Moose's assignment was to make the kid, right?
Oh,
Now,
he made that kid.
yes. Well, I'll put it to you like this. I don't know if Leon Slater is a made guy, but Moose has done 100% of his responsibilities in the matter. So if this kid needs a little more help getting made, it's not from Moose. Moose did everything. Moose beat the kid down. Moose sold for the kid. And when it was time to go over, he put the kid over. So, and even furthermore than that, he put the belt on the kid literally himself. He took it from that child predator that runs TNA and actually strapped it on to Leon himself and gave him a pat on the head.
Yep, and you can see him have a few words with him before he left too.
Right, which I actually don't like that for Moose. If he's a dick, he should be a full dick all the time and never have a moment of humanity. But
I'm gonna hit the button on this. Based on what we saw out of Moose, based on what we saw out of the system, I think we're seeing a full system babyface turn.
Could be. Could be. But well, anyway, we'll leave that there. We'll leave our conspiracy theory there, and we'll pick that up in the future where it applies. But for now, we'll just talk about Moose. We'll say how good of a job he did. Not my favorite match of his ever, but definitely did his job on this night. And Leon Slater held up his end of the bargain too, which, I like Leon Slater. I thought he was a little bit different. He's a little bit unique, a little bit fun. He's got some things that they're just not your average cookie cutter pro wrestler today. Yeah, TNA president looks like Moby, Labrat says. Yep. I'm not going to say the rest of the Eminem lyric that will go along with that, but so
You're too old, let go. Nobody listens to techno.
I guess I could have said that part. But yeah, so I definitely enjoyed this. Again, just like any of the matches, maybe a couple little things here and there, but overall can't complain too much. Yeah, highlight of the night, match of the night. Not much left to say about that part, but
except let's get ready to fly.
Yes. After that, after Moose leaves, then we get some familiar music, and here comes, that's right, the phenomenal one, fresh out of a box from on the river, AJ Styles. He's here. And it was his job to make the kid some more. So he went out there and babyfaced the kid and congratulated the kid and said the kid's the future and let's hear it for the kid. And then the kid left and he posed.
And apparently, according to Leon Slater, he had no idea AJ Styles was coming out for that.
Yeah, I could see them not telling him. I could see them not smartening him up. So, yes. And as Lara said, yes, he did get air while he was jumping for joy. It was very high jumps for joy. And yes, RVV said a new X Division kid had a major mark out moment. Yes, he did. Well, he can't say he didn't know that AJ was going to be there, but he could say he didn't know he was going to come out at that point in the show. So, I don't know, pretty good. Would you think that was a good use of AJ Styles?
I do agree, yes. Especially if the plan is if they're having Slater carry the belt through Bound for Glory, you get Slater and AJ.
Interesting. Then AJ's gonna have to put him over. Next is the ladder four way. It's the Rascals, Myron Reed version, versus First Class versus Hardys versus Ziggler's, and it's a ladder match. So you know that there's going to be a lot of foolishness going on, including AJ, not that one, the Francis one. How did this guy think this was a good idea to you do the spot where you're on a ladder and somebody tips you outside the ring and there's these ladders set up and he goes feet first through the ladder, through the rungs of the ladder vertically.
I have no idea how that dude's balls are not rattling around the inside of his skull like dice in a Yahtzee cup.
Well, they might have been. He didn't sell it. But I'm surprised that his legs didn't snap in half when the ladder came down at that awkward angle that he landed in. I mean, if he just jumped straight to the floor with no ladders there, his legs could have broken. But the way he landed in that ladder, like, I don't know how he's walking today.
Well, according to him on Twitter, his big dick protected him.
Wow. I mean, I don't know, but that was rough. And then, so you go from that ladder that, had big dicks all over it to the non-working ladders. These ladders were not working with the Hardys because two separate Jeff Hardy swanton attacks were not able to break these ladders. They barely budged. And people were just bouncing all over the place, not going through ladders, so they just gave up. Smartly, they gave up after two. That was funny. But yeah. So then somehow from some rig up in the ceiling somewhere, they had one of those like helicopter ladders that came down, and Jeff was able to climb up that because they broke every other ladder in the building. So they had to use that to climb up to the belts, and the Hardys are once again your TNA Tag Team Champions.
For some reason, I was under the impression that it was Vanguard 1 who brought that helicopter ladder, the rope ladder in.
Did he? He might have. I might have dozed off, to be honest.
But at the same time, the heck that drone hold up one of the Hardys.
Yeah, it didn't. It definitely couldn't have done that. It would have had to have, like, Vanguard 1 would have had to nudged the ladder off from somewhere else so that they could climb it. Like, I missed that part. All I saw when I woke up was Jeff Hardy climbing a ladder that looked like it should have been on a helicopter. So, if you say Vanguard 1 brought it, I take your word for it. But regardless, or Vanguardless, the Hardy Boys are your TNA champs once again. So they're not washed up. They don't have to retire. They're actually the best.
Or are they?
Or are they? Because here comes Bubba, or Bully, or whatever you call him now. Busted Ray Dudley. He comes out all by himself. And he says that, hey, remember when we were old? Remember in the old days when we were young and we used to do this kind of stuff all the time? Well, why don't we do it one more time? Even though we're all old and weak and frail and definitely injury prone, let's do it again. Hardys versus the Dudleys at Bound for Glory. Devon's nowhere here. He couldn't be bothered.
To be fair, from what I understand, Devon actually is like getting ready for one last match, which I'm assuming this is it.
So he was too busy to show up here because he was getting ready for the last match.
Yeah, that's a little bit of the problem. Where was
Hmm.
he for this?
Hmm.
Unless
Hmm.
they're the only thing I can think of is they're kind of playing on the assumption that they're assuming everybody knows that Devon's kind of not been in the best shape, for getting in the ring. But if the tease of him getting back into shape or getting back, ring ready for another match is that might be some sort of build. I don't know.
I mean, I know he's a little heavier than he used to be, but
Well, and also so like I think serious health issues too. Like, didn't he have some surgeries?
mm,
Like some
maybe.
serious heart. Like, actually, let me check real because I think he had some serious heart stuff going on.
Well, then we definitely don't need one more match with the fucking Hardys just so you could say you did it. I don't think anybody needed it. Um, I think it's just gonna be sad. So, oh well, that's not gonna stop anybody. If it's not gonna stop Ric Flair, it's not gonna stop the Dudley Boys.
Oh yeah, so Devon had a stroke. He had a bad stroke.
Yeah, he definitely needs to not have a match then. And Jeff Lippin is here. Thank you, Jeff. He's been getting into shape and doing DDP yoga. Still, stay out of the ring. Is my point. So
We don't want
let's
to we don't need to see another Masawa.
no. We don't need to see no. All right. Well, first we get Santino out, then we get Kazarian out because he's coming for commentary. Then we get a video package, and then we get the main event 3-way we've all been waiting for.
Oh, did
Joe
we
Hendry.
the announcement of Tessa getting suspended indefinitely?
Oh, that is that what Santino came out to say?
Yep.
Again, I must apologize for dozing off during parts of this. Um, so I just knew he was there, and then but when I woke up, I thought I dreamed it, so I wrote it down anyway.
No, yeah, he actually came out to announce that Tessa is suspended indefinitely, which means check her out this Tuesday on NXT, pal.
Whoa, can't wait. All right, so Joe Hendry comes out, then Mike Santana comes out, and he is rapped to the ring by who I assume does his theme song, and then Trick Williams comes out to a choir that he is
Singing
forced.
whoop that trick.
Yes, yes, it's funny what you have to when you can make a choir say stuff. Um, so that happened, and then they have the match, and I noticed that there wasn't a hell of a lot of time left on the clock for this match, so I knew it wasn't going to overstay its welcome at least. Um, so at some point, Kazarian saves Trick from Joe Hendry. Like Joe Hendry had him beat, and Frankie Kazarian pulls the ref out, and then he gets ejected because of course he would. You can't just grab a referee. So that happens, and then Trick. Now
I'll give
what happened to Trick? Because I was dozing off again. Did somebody dive on him?
it looked like something happened and then he like started selling his knee like he was really hurt.
Right. So at this point, I'm awake. I'm seeing, security is helping him or doctors are helping him.
However, here this is the big problem with the finish of the match. Here was the big tell that Trick's knee injury was a work. He's still on the stage. He's waiting on the stage. Like we can see him on camera on the stage waiting for his spot.
Yeah, they're showing him. That's why. That's how you know. Because when people get hurt, they don't put the camera on them. Nevertheless, still, I saw what they were going for there. I appreciate the attempt, I guess. But yes, that's a dead giveaway. And they did give it away because guess what? As soon as Santana spins the block on Joe Hendry, and we think we're definitely going to have a TNA wrestler have the championship once again. Here comes Trick right in the ring, shit cans Mike Santana and pins Joe Hendry 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Well, you don't seem too excited about this.
Man, it just. This did feel a little bit rushed. Like, this should have been something not in the middle of a storyline, but concluding a storyline, if that makes sense. And it should have been the finish, should have been Santana going over in it. But at the same time, I'm hoping that what they're going for is trying to build more heat going into Bound for Glory when TNA finally gets their belts back.
Yeah. Which I'm sure will 100% happen. Well, that was Slamversary. The winner of your main event, the NXT guy. So, no surprises there. But we are done with Slamversary. How did you like Slamversary?
Overall, I thought it was a good show. I mean, it's problem is it's like this should have been a lot of payoffs, but there's more kind of skepticism, but there's still some intrigue to see, okay, where do they go from here? Like, that element is still there to a degree, and that's what's most important.
All right, well, we'll hold on.
I think this week's NXT and TNA Impact will be very telling to see where this direction is going.
Oh, no doubt. So we will see where these things go. And you will see us all over the place until then. And until then, where can the people see you, Brandon?
As always, you can catch me on Twitter, or as the kids call it these days, the X, at LG Brandon Whoop. I am also on Twitch at twitch.tv/LG Brandon Whoop Whoop. And then, as always, pretty much here every night here on HMG YouTube. Tomorrow, we got the late start NXT Watch Along, which will air as soon as the A show is off the air. Wednesday, we got the Dynamite Watch Along and Belt Count. Thursday, watching along live with the live TNA Impact. Also doing a belt count for that. And then Friday, the SmackDown Watch Along and Belt Count. Saturday, we're doing HMG After Dark. Not sure what we're doing for that, but as soon as I figure it out, I'll let you guys know. And then Sunday, HMG After Dark as well. As soon as I figure out what that is, I'll let you guys know. And then next Monday, same as this week, same as next week.
Yeah, same for me. Aside from here, you can find me at Opinion Haver on all your favorite social media platforms, whatever those might be. You can find me on Wednesdays at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern for the Next Level Wrestling review with Big Ray Hernandez, where we talk about the NXT portion of this partnership. Next Level Wrestling review. Don't miss it. It's going to be a happening. And check out every Sunday, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. Wreckage with myself and Jimmy T talking about AEW, and we're just coming off of a big show, like a huge show, their biggest ever show, and they disappointed the shit out of everybody. So let's see if TNA can't do them any better. Then of course you have all the affiliates such as Wrestling Over at Rogers every Friday, Stevie Rich's show every Friday, Limpin' Ain't Easy every Wednesday, or whenever he can get the episode out. Check out all of those shows and check out everybody else doing everything around here on HMG. Thank you so much for all your support. Thank you for all the lovely comments and questions. Thank you for everything. We can't do it without you. Like I answered Chris Winland before, it sure as shit ain't for the love of TNA. So for Brandon, I'm the vet, and we'll be picking up the Raw watch along after this.
Yes, sir. In probably about 10 minutes, pal.
All right. So in 10 minutes, Brandon will be back right with you. But for him, I'm the vet, and I don't have a sign off line.
Bye.